The road to hell is paved in good intentions. That's the hook.
Yeah, here we come. Hey, here we come. Hey, here we come. Here we come.
This is a story that I'm sure you've all heard about. Johnny Bobbitt, a homeless person. Kate McClure, a woman whose car breaks down on the I-95. Mark D'Amico, her boyfriend. Kate's car breaks down on the I-95 because she ran out of gas. She runs into Johnny Bobbitt, a homeless person who's panhandling. He gives her his last $20 so that she could go get gas. I think he even goes and gets her the gas, brings it back because it wasn't safe to walk. She doesn't have the money to repay him. In order to repay him, she starts a GoFundMe page with a target goal of $10,000, and they exceed $400,000. It sounds like a wonderful story. Hindsight is always 20/20, and it's very easy to play Monday morning quarterback, but I knew at the time that this was not going to end well. You cannot have that much money appear out of nowhere and have it end well. And someone has boxed me in here. This is not... Check this out. That's my reverse, and that's my front. Oy. Have you ever heard of the expression, the road to hell is paved in good intentions?
No, and that makes no sense.
What do you think it means, actually? So there's actually 3 different variations or interpretations of what it means. One is that evil intentions are often cloaked with good intentions. Like someone says, oh, let me carry your purse, and then they take money out of your purse when they do it. Road to hell is paved in good intentions. The other interpretation is that even when people have good intentions, it leads to negative consequences. Like... I'm trying to think of something like... Oh yeah, like someone giving your kid candy because they want to make him happy and then he gets totally addicted to candy. It's a bad example, but... Third interpretation is that people have good intentions but don't actually act on them, thus leading to a road to hell. We're never going to get out of here.
The road to my school is a mess.
So, I gotta tell you this story. This is... It's not possible that people can actually do this.
Get here by bus.
Okay, well, while we're stuck in traffic, I'll tell you about the story. A homeless man named Johnny Bobbitt. A woman named Kate McClure's car breaks down on... So she sets up a GoFundMe page. How much do you think they raise?
$1 million.
Right, you're actually not ridiculously off, but $400,000. Do you think this story's gonna end well?
No.
What do you think happens?
Johnny Bobbitt spends it on the wrong things. Is Johnny Bobbitt a real person?
Johnny Bobbitt's a real person, and holy cows, you're smart. That's part of the problem of what happens. What do you think the other part is? Kate McClure and her boyfriend, Mark D'Amico, don't give Johnny Bobbitt the money. It ends the way all things end, in a lawsuit. Johnny Bobbitt is suing Kate McClure and Mark D'Amico to release the monies that they raised on GoFundMe for him. Why do you think Mark D'Amico and Kate McClure are not giving the money to Johnny Bobbitt?
I've heard Kate McClure.
No, you're thinking of Troy McClure. That's from The Simpsons. Hi, I'm Troy McClure. You might remember me from such fundraisers as... What do you think their defense is as to why they're not giving Johnny Bobbitt the money?
Because he might spend it on the wrong thing.
This is true. In fact, Johnny Bobbitt did admit to going through roughly $25,000 in a week, spending some of it on drugs because he's addicted to opiates, and giving some to his friends and family. What do you think Johnny Bobbitt is saying about Mark D'Amico and... Oh gosh!
It doesn't matter what Johnny Bobbitt was spending his money on. None of their business.
Okay, you're too smart for your own good, and you're smart beyond your age, and I take full credit for that. We're getting to the end too quickly, so we're gonna back it up and then get to this point.
Wait.
Oh gosh. Yeah. So what always ends up happening. Bobbitt is suing McClure and D'Amico to release the remaining funds. D'Amico, the boyfriend of McClure, says he's not releasing it because all that's going to happen is Bobbitt is going to waste it on drugs and blow through it. Apparently in an article he said he'd rather set it on fire than give it back to Bobbitt, which is a very bizarre thing to say. He would rather burn it than let the person for whom it was raised burn it. Come on, I'm going this way. Showdown. Okay, let's go. Okay. You're probably wondering why you're not hearing any audio right now.
Trust me, I was thinking the exact same thing when I sat down to edit this, and I get to the crux of the video where I explained all of the allegations of the lawsuit and the responses. And what do I hear? Nothing. I just see my face mouthing words, and I don't even remember what I said. I'm sure I went into the details of the lawsuit, what Bobbitt alleged McClure and D'Amico had done to him, what McClure and D'Amico's responses were. Bobbitt said that D'Amico had a gambling problem and was using the money that they had raised for him to gamble. D'Amico pretty much admitted as much, saying that he once used $500 from the GoFundMe money because he left his casino card at home, but that he quickly reimbursed the funds back to the GoFundMe amounts. Bobbitt said that they had promised him a new home, but that they only bought him a used trailer which they let him live on one of their pieces of land somewhere in the country. D'Amico admits as much, and then says that they asked Bobbitt to leave the property when he began behaving aggressively and erratically. The neighbors confirmed the same story. Both parties seem to admit that the trailer was subsequently sold, and no one knows where the proceeds of that sale went to. All that we know is that there is roughly $200,000 left in the amounts raised from the GoFundMe page. Bobbitt wants a rendering of account, which McClure and D'Amico have yet to provide.
And in law, it creates an interesting situation. D'Amico and McClure, by not giving the money to Bobbitt because of their fear that he's going to blow it all, they are basically managing his money. They've basically created what we call in law a trust. A trust being one party holding money or assets for the benefit of another party. How's it going? D'Amico says if we give him money, he's going to waste it, so we're going to give it to him piecemeal and make sure that he spends it properly, is acting as a de facto trustee, the person who manages the assets of a third party for the benefit of that person. But that's not at all why they raise the money, that's not the basis on which they raise the money, and that's not the legal capacity that anyone but themselves gave themselves. You know, the reality is that when people gave that money on GoFundMe for the benefit of Bobbitt, when people made the donations to the GoFundMe page for Johnny Bobbitt, that money should have just gone directly to Johnny Bobbitt. They say power and money corrupts. You know, seeing $400,000 come into their bank accounts, it's probably more money than McClure and D'Amico had ever seen cash sitting in a bank account. D'Amico, by not setting up a separate bank account, is mingling Bobbitt's assets with his own assets. And the thing is that even if he were a trustee, come on guys, he would have to render account of his administration of the property of others. Bobbitt's saying that they're not even telling him how the money's being spent. It's in D'Amico's personal bank account because he never set up a dedicated bank account for Bobbitt. And as a trustee, if you mingle the assets of the beneficiary of the trust with your own assets, how's it going? If you take money out of the account or the trust that is there only for the benefit of the beneficiary of the trust, you do expose yourself to some liability. The bottom line is that that money was never there for them to manage as trustees. The two of them saw all of this money come in short order. Hey, how you doing? There's no doubt they had good intentions at the time, but I do see how money corrupts. They say, this guy's not going to blow through $400,000. We can use that money for much more useful purposes than drugs or alcohol. And they may be right. The only problem is, it's not their money, and it was never their money for them to even have that consideration with. Like, share, subscribe. This whole thing is a bad, sad situation, but a perfect illustration of how the road to hell is paved in good intentions. Peace out.